carnage in the market. In particular, tech stocks got hit very hard today. We believe it's a mix of COVID resurgence and election fears. For the day, we're down 15.5%. For the month, we're down 22%. And for the year, we're still up 181%. This is a Not Even Wrong podcast. It's October 30th, 2020. This is Krim Delco. I started with all the performance numbers before I even go into the episode, because I think this episode is very important. It's one of those episodes where we talk numbers, performance, and what is driving day-to-day daily stocks. I spend a lot of time in this podcast talking about very philosophical questions about, for example, our principal stack and the books that we believe in are the main drivers of our strategy and our return. And we sometimes have to also talk about the daily situation, what is actually going on a daily basis. And this is a good example because we had quite a bit of a drawdown. So we need to talk about this, try to understand it's part of running a fund. I always say you gotta do the thinking way before you act. So thinking, the philosophical foundation, the principles of a hedge fund have to be very clear. You have to know what you want. You have to know what you don't want. You have to take sides. You have to know exactly which stock you want to buy, and you have to know why, and you have to understand why you don't want to buy certain things. So we are a very extreme fund in that perspective. We follow the 0 to 1 principle, one of our 4 principles, one of the 4 books that build our principal stack. And in the 0 to 1 principle described by Peter Thiel, it is very clear that you have to take sides. So we take sides, and we have a very clear understanding of the markets, and I will talk about this. But we also have to understand why sometimes we take drawdowns, and this is one of those situations. So while the market has been modestly down today, 1.2% is not that much. We are down 15%. For the month, we're down 22%. The market's down 3%. For the year, we're up 181%. The market's up 1.7%. So clearly, we're outperforming the market by far. And that's a good thing. It's because we had a very clear understanding of where we want to be. We are in disruptive technologies with large impact. Tesla is the main driver for that. And that has been driving fundamentally and also macro-driven. For example, the money flows into ESG, money flows into renewable energies, money flows into growth, liquidity in the market. So there's a lot of things which are outside of the realm of our specific companies that have helped us this year. But I still think that our understanding, our clear-cut understanding of where we want to be, why we want to be there, have helped us achieve those returns. So let's talk about the market, and then let's arch into our strategy, why we are doing what we're doing, and then let's get back to what we expect will happen in the next couple of months, how we position ourselves, and what our probability stack looks like. So the markets right now are shaken by 2 things. One is COVID, the other is the election in the United States. Let's talk about COVID. COVID is resurging almost everywhere, particularly in Europe and the United States. We don't know exactly what's going on in Asia, but in Europe and the United States, there is not just a COVID resurgence, but also the typical knee-jerk reactions that we've seen in the last resurgence when it happened in May and April. Authorities don't know what's going on. The people in charge are still in charge. They have no solutions. They keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, so they're doing very bad things. The market just doesn't like all of that. We believe that this is the main reason for the jitteriness that has been going on in the last couple of weeks. Now, particularly for this week coming, I think the US election is making people even more nervous. Now, our expectation for the US election is that Trump will win, that it will be not just close, but pretty clear, that we will have another 4 years of Republican leadership in the White House. The Congress, I don't have a lot to say there. I hope that we will have a balanced Congress. So it's not good to have just one party running everything. So it's good to have a little bit of counterbalance. Although I have very little faith in our political establishment anyway, so I don't think it matters a whole lot. But what's most important for the markets is that we hopefully will not have any kind of turmoil. I can't expect that. I hope it won't happen. I live in San Francisco. It's a city that could have some leftish repercussions if Trump wins. I don't know. I hope it's not the case. The situation here is okay. I feel safe. But for example, today I went surfing and there was a sign saying, please find a way to take your car key with you while surfing because there's a lot of car break-ins. This says two things. One, which is there's a lot of robbery and stealing going on, but more importantly, there's another thing which is much more concerning, which is the city is telling me there's nothing I can do about this, and this is very scary. So, and this is part of the reason why we believe Trump will win by even a landslide, because people are sick and tired of anything other than safety, law and order, and all these things, particularly with this COVID situation and this other issues that have bubbled up in society. It seems to us that the most important thing that people want is safety, security, and a clear path to their lives, be that in the markets, be that on their job, be that for their school, kids, whatever. They want clarity. They don't want this convoluted, we have to help this, that, be conscious about this, be conscious about. They want clarity. I think, therefore, I believe the Republicans have a little bit of a better story on that front. There's a lot of issues I have with the Republicans, but at least on the front of, listen, this is what we want, this is what we don't want, the Republicans are better on that one. So that's why I believe they will win with a landslide, at least for the White House. I'm not sure about Congress. Again, I leave that open. So on that front, we're pretty confident that the markets will calm down, assuming we don't have turmoil. It should be, in the next couple of weeks, should have a recovery in the market on that front. On the COVID side, it's a little bit more tricky, but we believe that the COVID situation has worsened, particularly in Europe, because the cold weather, also in the US, cold weather, people are inside, they start infecting each other again, also people getting loose, infections are rising, we have more testing, so we have more information, and the more information we have, the more scary it looks in the first place. I do also think that it will abate in a sense that we will have more and more cases, we will have scare, but then over time we will realize that the people that are affected by this are the people that are affected anyway, because they have preconditions and symptoms and all that, and that over time we will get into a situation a little bit like this is a chronic disease like cancer or diabetes, or just like the flu, something which keeps happening and we will have to start living with it. This is our expectation. So for the year, we expect the market to finish strong in the double digits as far as the markets are concerned. And for us, this would mean also a very strong finish. We expect to do extremely well on Tesla, also CRISPR, and some recovery in Intel and RTX. Microsoft should go, we expect more beta than anything else there. But again, we believe that we have a good probability that the markets will recover strongly. Now, of course, there is also the caveat, this all could go wrong. We could have turmoil, the election could be a disaster, and COVID could be a disaster. So therefore, for us, it's important also to understand what is the drawdown we can have. If we look at another 50% drawdown from here, we would have, we have about 10% leverage. So this would be certainly a little bit of a concern in terms of leverage, but not to the extent that we are in any way, shape or form in danger of survival. And I've stated this many times, the degree of freedom we have is really only to choose our investments. We do have a degree of freedom in terms of using leverage, but even there we're pretty limited in a sense that we should, of course, use our equity, and once we find investment, put all the equity in those investments. But there is a little bit of leverage we can have. It's not a lot because, again, the main premise of any hedge fund is to survive. So you have a natural limit of how much leverage you can put in. There are people out there that have different strategies. They have either the ability, the reputation, or the network to research from failures. They can use more leverage, sort of do the spray and pray strategy, which is start a fund, put a lot of leverage, get lucky, and then keep going like that until they blow up. We are not in that business. We don't want to do that. We are in the long-term survival business. I've said that in other episodes, that the real money is made with compound interest. Compound interest is the strongest law in the world when it comes to finance. Compound interest. Start with something and grow it and compound it. And if you can survive every year, the longer you survive, the better it is, the more money you make. If you start with $1,000 and you compound by 20%, in 20 years you will have maybe, I don't know, $10,000, and then the compound 20% on $10,000 is huge. This is the idea. So stay in the game for a long term. That's what we do. So we have a little bit of leverage, about 10%, which is fine. We might increase it a little bit, but we don't have that much of a degree of freedom here anyway. So the point is, right now, we have to be ready for a massive drawdown. It could happen. The probability is not very high, but it could be. I think the probability is much higher that we have a rally into the end of the year, because the election will be fine and COVID will be fine. And in that sense, we will also make a lot of money with our investments. As far as what we want, we've stated that in our mission, we want to generate wealth by investing in disruptive technologies with large impact. Tesla is the main reason why we are making money, and it's also the best example of this mission accomplishment. CRISPR is on the verge of becoming relevant. Right now, it's still in the early stages, but just one example, if you can have a one-shot cure by fixing a genetic disease through genetics, not through some second, third type derivative drugs, but one time, one shot, fix, it's cheaper, it's better, it's amazingly cheaper for the healthcare system. So there's a massive disruption in the market which has not been touched by disruption at all. So we expect the CRISPR index to be a 10x plus type performer. It's just a matter of time, and therefore we're very bullish on our situation. We're okay right now with the drawdown. It happens sometimes. There's also been some froth in the market. We've seen more and more YouTube videos coming out of people who know what's going to happen, people long Tesla and believing that with Tesla and Square and Shopify and Amazon, that's it. All you have to do is buy these stocks. It's not a good sign. They might even be right about these things, but again, if you see too much snake oil being spread around social media and YouTube and things like that, it just shows you that the market is a bit frothy. So some correction is always healthy. How much it could be, this is absolutely not under our control, but we think that over time we will have the compound growth of at least 15% annual. This is what we target as a fund, and we're very comfortable that we can achieve that. Thank you.